I want to start this out with something I haven't yet. This
Joshua Zeman, nice to meet
Greg
you.
Sullivan.
How are you, Greg?
Joshua, I'm shaking your hand because you and I both have something in common. We did a humanitarian run over to the Ukraine, and I posted about it. It was quite the experience.
Yeah.
My experience was taking ambulances out to the front line, and experience of the devastation, but then the joy in the soldiers' faces when they got these ambulances. Like, oh my God, you thought you were, and you kind of felt like what it was like when the Americans went into World War II
Yeah.
and saved France. It's like, oh, that was what that was like. But I got a little taste of that. You did something huge. Please tell everybody what you did and about this movie.
Sure.
You're going to love it.
Sure. I directed a documentary called Checkpoint Zoo. I went to Ukraine twice to film about a bunch of volunteers who basically saved 5,000 animals from a zoo that was behind enemy lines in Ukraine.
And at some point, when the war is coming together and the Russians are coming this way and the Ukrainians are going this way, where do they end up in relation to the zoo?
Well, yeah. Well, what's interesting is this zoo, Feldman Eco Park. It's right on the outskirts of Kharkiv. That's the second largest city in Ukraine. It's only 25 miles from the border. And so on, that day of the invasion, February 26th, basically the Russians come across. They go on one side of the zoo and set up their armament, and the Ukrainians basically come out and to defend their city, they set up on the other side of the zoo. And they're basically just shooting at each other, and anything that doesn't hit the other side falls and rains down on top of these animals.
So you're not just going over on a humanitarian mission. You're going over to save these animals from not just this debris, but the stress. All of a sudden, these animals have gone from at least a quiet, peaceful existence to being in the middle of things, just the world blowing apart on them.
First of all, I think what makes it truly terrifying is not understanding. War. War is a human construct. This is not really understood in the animal kingdom. So I don't know if they really understood what war is about. I mean, think about how your animals react during the fireworks or thunder. Imagine that every day for 4 or 5 months. So it's reactions, and there's bombs raining down around you, and you can't go anywhere because you're stuck in a cage. And so that's terrifying. So tragically, a lot of animals died, of course, from shrapnel, but some animals died from heart attacks, far more than I would have even understood.
You mentioned that before. That was shocking.
Yeah,
heart
attacks.
That's the stress on their hearts.
Exactly.
And it doesn't stop. And suddenly you're in the stress mode until you have a cardiac arrest.
Yeah, because you can't go anywhere. You're stuck in a cage. Yeah. I mean, this is our most base human emotion is fight or flight, right? A bomb comes down, we run. Well, imagine not being able to run. Not being able to engage that, it kind of blows your mind. So, but thankfully, this is a story that's really hopeful and ends well, at least for the animals. Over 90% of the animals were rescued from Feldman Eco Park and now live in other parts of Ukraine. And this is the story of the brave volunteers and zookeepers, selfless individuals who risk their life and limb every day after day to save these animals.
And you filmed the whole thing. And you came back with this great story we're all going to learn about and be inspired by. So that's really important. How long were you over there?
I was over there twice, and for about 10 days each time. If you go into Warsaw, you have driven across the border. You have to speak to the border guys about what you're doing while you're going into the country, and then it takes a long time to get across from one side to the other. It's like from New York to Chicago. I don't think people really understand how big it is. So I spent so much time traveling just to get there.
I find out that I was on a list of people that they would consider a higher risk of being captured and kidnapped, and I'm like, I'm part of that group.
You felt
great.
special.
Oh yeah, really. So so I'm at a
You're
high
on the
risk
list.
of being kidnapped. So that added to my thing. So I had to go up through Vienna and down through the top and did it by myself in the middle of the night, crossing with the border guards, and you're going up to one and they're checking you, and then you go on the other side.
Yeah.
And then the guy says, okay, you're just going to walk up there now. And you're like, what?
Yeah.
I'm going to do what? There's a car going to be waiting for you up there, and you're walking into this black abyss, and you're really, what the fuck did I just do with my life?
Yeah, but it was like that too. It's like World War II going through the border.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, what are you doing? I was like, well, I'm here. They're like, are you news? I'm like, no, I'm a documentary. And they go, well, are you going to the front lines? I'm like, no, I'm going to a zoo. And they're like, a zoo? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
They couldn't quite wrap their heads around it.
Yeah, but meanwhile, probably one of the most important missions that anyone could have undertaken. Look, I'm dying to talk to you more. I'm dying to see the film.
Yeah, great.
And I'm looking forward to it.
Thanks,
and
Gregg.
I'm going to talk to you some more.
Okay, thanks
And
very much.
if you
Appreciate
needed
it.
that distribution deal, I can
Okay,
help you
I'm
out.
going to hold you to it. That's on film.
Okay, okay. This is a really wonderful film that he's done. And thank God for Zelda Penzel, who she kind of headed this category. And we're getting to see this film and these guys from the Ukraine. And I love that I had that little thing to share with them because it was quite the experience going over there. Okay, let's go on and see the film.